Hello, everybody. Max with A1 Website Pro, and today we're going to go on the second part, navigating the interface. So we're going to look at the layout of Olive. We already went over installing Olive, so if you haven't installed it yet, you can go back and check out that tutorial, depending on what type of system you're running, Mac, Linux, or Windows. So we're on Windows in this particular lesson where we're going to be navigating the interface. So once you have all of set up and everything, it's going to look like this. Okay, so this is the default layout. So let's go up to and go over these tools. When we go up to File, we click New. We could select it, create a new project, a new sequence. We could create a new folder right within here. Okay. Here we can open any project that we have. Here we can have recent projects, and you'll see a file list of the recent projects that you've had. Here you're going to use this a lot. This Control S on the keyboard. Just get used to hitting Control S all the time. Okay, depending on the type of system that you're running and your processor, you might have more crashes than the next guy, but if you just hit Control S all the time, you make an edit, Control S. You bring in a media file, Control S. So just keep doing that. And this, if you want to save it, like if you want to save a new file, you can use the Save As. Just like any other Windows Word document, a writer or a spreadsheet. These are all pretty common stuff. Here we can revert by hitting F12. So if you did something and you need to revert it, you can hit F12. You can also hit Control Z to revert it. Here's where we import our media, or we can hit Control I when we're getting ready to import media down into this project library. So we can use this or Control I. This export is after you're all done and you got your movie all done and you want to export it, then you can export this, and we'll be going over that in detail because you can export it in a number of different type of ways. Some for YouTube, some for cell phones, whatever. They have all different kind of formats that you can export your media in, depending on your audience and who you're trying to target. Here's your project properties. So you'll be referencing this, where do you want your project saved to, so on and so forth. There's a lot in there that we'll go over. And this is just to close out Olive Studio. The next one is the edit button. All these things: cut, copy, paste, insert, duplicate, rename, delete. All these, ripple delete, split duration. All these things are, pretty common. Now, this split right here, Control K, you want to get used to using that Control K, because whenever you're working on a track down here and you need to split the clip because you're getting rid of something, or maybe you're dealing with multi-tracks and stuff like that, and you need to split, because you can have a number of different video tracks on here, as you'll see in the future whenever we start getting into more detailed stuff. Here you could change the speed or duration. You ever see the old flicks where they speed them up, make them look like they're going real fast, or you can go slow mo. If you're doing slow mo, we'll get into frames per second. So usually things are 30 frames per second, but if you want to do slow mo, you probably want to have like 60 frames per second. It just looks better. Here's a select all. You can also use Control A, which you'll use that a lot, whenever you're moving tracks around. Here's to deselect all. You can add a default transformation, and that's this little thing right here. If you click on it, it'll add a transformation, but you can do a default transformation by hitting Control Shift D. This link, unlink, whenever you bring in a video, okay, it's going to be linked with an audio track if there is one. And so they're going to be linked together. And sometimes you want to get rid of that audio track. And so you have to unlink it from the video track. And that's what that's all about. You can also right click over top of the video track, and you'll get the unlink, as you'll see in the next lesson. Here's enable, disable. Here's nest. Here's if you want to insert, you use a comma. If you want to overwrite, you can use a period. Ripple to point, the Q. Ripple out to point, W. Edit to endpoint, Control Alt Q. Edit to out point, Control Alt W. Then you can nudge it to the left. You can nudge it to the right using your arrows. You could also use an Alt left and Alt right on your keyboard there. and then move into point play hood by using the square bracket, left square bracket, and then move out to play head for the right square bracket. Yeah, a lot of this stuff might not seem important to you right now, but when you're working in your workflow to become more efficient, it's nice to familiarize yourself with this stuff. Here you can do a set in point, set out point, reset in point, reset out point, clear, delete, ripple, and set and edit marker. So all these things may not make sense to you now, but they'll make sense to you as we continue on in these lessons. Here, whenever you're looking in the preview window or even on the track, you might want to zoom in and zoom out and, look at those different things a little bit closer. So that has to do with, your different viewings. Here you could toggle show all. If you want to increase or decrease your track heights, that's the tracks down here. You can use Control plus equals or Control plus minus. You can toggle show all down there. You can go into full screen mode, the full screen viewer, which is really nice. Now, here's the other cool thing about all of Video Editor. In DaVinci Resolve, you had to buy the premium subscription if you had two monitors, and you wanted to see it in full screen on one monitor and edit on the other one. Well, this one comes default like that, and it's free. It's a great tool to have and to view. But you get to see your footage on one monitor while you're editing on the other one. Pretty cool. Here's non-drop frames, seconds, frames, milliseconds, and on the timeline you're going to see like a rule up here, and it's a time. You can zoom in, zoom out, and you can zoom in to see the milliseconds, zoom out to see the seconds and the minutes. It's really, really cool. Now here's playback. When you're playing back in the preview window, and you could go to start by hitting your home button to the start of the video, or you could just go to the previous frame by hitting the left arrow. The space bar, you'll be using that a lot because you use the space bar to play it, you use the space bar to pause it. So when you're trying to really get to the nitty gritty of a track and seeing what's going on with it, you're going to be using that a lot. And this is play in to play out, that's shift space. Here you can go to the next frame just by hitting the right arrow key, or you could go to the end by hitting the end. So this is all pretty self-explanatory. Here, go to the previous cut by hitting the up arrow, or go to the next cut by hitting the down arrow. So, and then you could go to the end point and the out point. We'll discuss what those are. We could shuttle to the left, we could shuttle stop, shuttle to the right, or we could loop the track so it just keeps playing. Okay? Over and over again. Here's the sequence. You could clear your disk cache. A lot of times, when you're working on videos and stuff, you need to clear your disk cache, and that's where you do it. Okay? Now, you'll have more options under this sequence, I believe, once you start building up your tracks. Here's the different windows. If you ever get screwed up, right, just remember this. If you don't know where your tools are, things are looking a little funky, you can always reset to default layout. And when you do that, it just resets this whole thing to the default layout when you bought it or whenever you installed it. Here are different things that you can use, different tools. Here's your audio monitor, your curve editor, your footage, your history, your multicam viewer if you had one, your node editor. We have that right here. That's the node editor. We have the project untitled. That's right down here. We have our history. Pixel sampler, scopes, sequence, our task manager. We can't see it, but if we want it, we just click it on and there it is. Now, of course, we don't have any tasks right now because we're not working on anything just yet. Okay. So these are all the tools you could get familiar with those. And there's a record tool, if you want to make an additional recording in there or so on and so forth. So, and then here's where you go for your preferences under your tools. And this is where you'll have your general, set your language with appearance. I like using the olive dark. I like everything dark. It's easier on the eyes for me. And then here's your default node colors going right down through there. Your default marker color is lime. And you could change these around to match whatever the heck you want. All right. So there's your where your cache, your mem cache for all of his. Uh, Here's your audio stuff. Everything that has to do with your audio. This is my microphone VM. I have one of those external mics, so I use it. And then here's your keyboard. So you can actually record with all of Video Studio here, but I just use it to edit my videos. But we'll go over that stuff anyway. Okay, and then finally there's help, action search, send feedback, about. So in the next lesson, we're actually going to start importing video into here. We're going to have our folders and everything. We're going to be bringing it in here. We're going to be working with video tracks, and I'm going to be showing you how to cut things and splice them together and everything like that. So you actually get to see how it works. But what was important is that you have this layout, and here's all your tools too, right? You got your transition. There's two different types of transitions: cross dissolve and dip to color. You have zoom in, zoom out. You have this to pan around. If you wanted to add, uh, I'll discuss this stuff more with you later, but these are empty bars. Sometimes you need a transparent on there because you're going to put some special effects in. So you'll be using the shapes and the solids. And then titles is like if you wanted a title over your video or at the baseline of your video, you can adjust the tone, have a subtitle. There's just all different kinds of tools that we're going to be using, and there will be effects too that you're going to be able to take advantage of as well. And we do that mainly with node editors, and I'll show you guys how to do that in the upcoming videos. But this is the layout, your media files will appear over here. This is your video and audio tracks, and then also images if you wanted to use image in your video as well. You have your footage viewer and your parameter editor, node editor, your sequence viewer, and you can move this stuff around, right? You can move this, like if you didn't want it there, let's say you wanted it over there. Okay, there you go. It's over there, and now this is over here. If you wanted to make your timeline bigger or smaller, you can do that as well, but you got to get your mouse in there. See how I could drag it up, drag it down. Since I use my other monitor to edit videos, sometimes I'll make this bigger if I got a lot of like multi-tracks that I'm working on, and then I'll have the viewer, the sequence viewer or the footage viewer on the other monitor. So it makes it a little bit easier for me. Anyway, this is Mac with AM Website Pro. I hope you guys appreciated this tutorial. This is pretty much straight to the point. This is just the layouts and what all these tools are and what they do. But now we're going to put that into action. Okay, so that's what these next few videos coming up. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.